All right. Well, welcome everybody. Great to be together in these interesting times that we are in. Does everybody know Danny Gannon? Danny is in public. Actually, you're in engineering. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm the project engineer at the town. Um,
Right.
Temporarily filling in, or at least temporarily, as Ray's left the town. Just sort of
Right.
as your guys' liaison for the town.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your support. Excellent job with the minutes last
Thank you.
month, which is actually we have public audience first. Is there anyone would like to speak in public audience?
Yes.
Jen.
Hi. I wanted to mention that I met somebody from the U.S. Carton Council, and they are a national nonprofit dedicated to increasing markets and supporting and providing technical assistance to schools and other facilities to collect and recycle their cartons, like milk cartons, juice cartons. And I believe they might have funding for school programs. So I reached out. I haven't heard back yet, but I would love to set up a meeting with their grants person, and anyone who's interested from this team, this call, and especially including Bayard, because I think it would be great to have him on. We would be looking at district wide, to be able to set this up in schools district wide, and with a little bit of funding and some support from maybe the high school green team at a board of ed meeting, maybe we can get the support and the backing to implement something district wide. So I'll keep you all updated, and let you know when I hear back from Carton Council.
So what type of a school program what would that look like?
That would look like helping fund uh, trash cans for cafeterias, and even liquid buckets, so that the kids can pour out the carton before they put it in the recycling recycling. Sorry, I have toter, bin, dumpster, like a 50-gallon rolling cart, I think is what it would end up being. Um, and they would provide educational materials, customizable labeling, and they recommend, bringing it into the classroom so that the kids, understand the background of why they're separating their cartons. And now that Bayard's on, he can corroborate. I don't know if anyone has seen the data that came back from the waste audit. I think I missed last month's meeting, but Bayard had shared that cartons was volume wise a huge portion of the stream coming from the high school, and that was just a half a day's worth of waste. So Bayard, I'm just talking about getting in contact with somebody from the Carton Council who might have funding to help with a district-wide carton recycling program, which would be implemented in cafeterias.
That would be great.
So I was hoping that you'd be interested.
Very.
That's exciting. Are these types of cartons, they're recyclable, right?
Yes, they're
Yeah.
not a mandatory item in Connecticut, but they're recyclable. There are markets. There's a market in Eastern Connecticut, and they crush and process and turn it into. I'll fill that in. I'll put a link in the chat. I didn't have that. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I'll put the link in the chat when I look that up. Um, so that you can understand that, yeah, all across the country, there are markets for this kind of material.
And I'm just wondering if I were a school, is there an advantage to having a separate carton versus just throwing it in a single stream?
That's a conversation we can have with them. And then maybe potentially having to talk with the hauler for the school systems. It depends. It depends on quantity probably generated. And if the hauler would want to maintain, keep them separate. Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is going to be coming out of the conversation with the Carton Council.
Cool.
Also, just coming out of the waste audit, what we noticed was a lot of the cartons were either half filled or totally filled.
Right.
And so what the result is that our custodians essentially throw everything into the trash, plus the recycles get contaminated with non-recycled materials, plus food, plus lots of milk and juice. And so it all ends up being contaminated. So everything gets thrown in the trash.
Right.
So having some kind of recycling of cartons would really change that quite a lot, I think.
Excellent.
Baird, I noticed that from the data that there were a lot of full milk containers. Were they unopened? And is that something that, at another time we can talk about share tables?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things on that. Just I'm taking a field trip with a couple kids to the West Hartford schools to look at their recycling programs. They have a share table, and so one of the things I'm hoping to set up is for both juice and milk that is unopened to be able to put that back so that somebody else can grab it. We don't have that currently, but yes, it's a need.
Yeah, that's exciting. Anything else in public audience? All right, I am going to suggest that we reorder the agenda. We are fortunate to have Bob Wall with us this evening. So Bob, we'll go right to our Power Smart campaign. And I know, Bob, we were on a meeting, you were on a call with several of us, but have you joined the whole committee with us already? I can't remember. I don't think so, right?
I don't believe so. I think we did like a joint meeting with Simsbury and Avon.
Right. Okay. Terrific.
And we've had conversations, but
yep. So again, Bob, thank you for taking time from your evening to join us. Bob is an institution in the Connecticut environmental community. Bob has done it all and been around and seen so much, and has been spearheading these campaigns called Power Smart. And Bob, why don't I let you give just a little introduction to the program? I know we've talked about it in this committee and all, but you've got the perspective of, is it round 4 we're in now?
Round 3.
3, okay.
All right. It feels like 4.
Right.
Yeah, I've been around so long. I think I recognize Jennifer Weymouth. We might have spoken about pay as you throw way back in time. But nice to see you again, and nice to see or meet all of you. I'm Bob Wall, the Vice President of Smart Power, which is a nonprofit marketing organization. And we have been managing the Power Smart campaigns, which are education and outreach campaigns for solar and battery storage systems. This is part of a grant from the U.S. Department of Energy, and we are part of a team that's led by some academics at Yale and NYU, who, through the work that we and others around the country are doing, are going to be studying the relationship between people who adopt solar and do other things. So here in Connecticut, that other thing is adoption of battery storage systems. So the program is modeled pretty closely on the old solarized CT programs that we started together with the Green Bank back in 2011. And, roughly this means that it's a 20-week campaign in each community, starting from the date of the kickoff event. And Smart Power will provide all of the marketing materials, including a campaign website for your town. And we'll work with you. And I guess some of the good news is we won't work you as hard as we used to do in Solarize. So, we will connect with you periodically to try to, figure out next steps and next events and other things, and see how we can help get the word out more extensively. So we're looking to find a date and a place to do an educational workshop that will feature a PowerPoint, and I would say probably it's going to be mostly me doing that, although in some other towns have invited a solar installer to answer technical questions. And unlike Solarize, this program does not choose a single installer for a town. That worked quite effectively in Solarize, but given the fact that some people already have solar and others don't, and most of those people don't have batteries, there are a lot of different variables which would have made it challenging to select a single installer that would satisfy the needs of all residents. And when I say residents, I just wanted to stress that this campaign is focused exclusively on residential customers, which now by definition includes multifamily housing. I don't know, to the extent you have much of that in Simsbury, but they are denominated as residential. The same programs that I'll be talking about for both solar and battery storage are, however, available to commercial customers. So whether it's the town of Simsbury or a nonprofit or a house of worship, if they're interested in solar or battery storage, they can certainly learn from the campaign, and the same programs can take care of their needs and provide whatever support they do. I will say that for the battery program, it's currently paused for commercial customers. There was such a huge positive response to it that they're oversubscribed already. So they've hit the pause button for a few months, but I anticipate that will reopen soon, and that is not an issue on the residential side. So with that background in mind, I wanted to at least tee up a couple of asks for the town through mainly this body. One is request a copyright-free photograph that we can use for your town micro website. So I asked towns to come up with something iconic that will instantly resonate with your neighbors and fellow Simsbury residents. So in a lot of towns, that happens to be a picture of town hall. But when we were in Brookfield, they had some really cool looking metal statues of horses positioned outside the town hall complex. And I would say that wins first prize for originality. But some other towns have done, natural landscape like a shoreline or a green or lakes, things like that. So whatever screams out to people, this is my town, that's what we're looking for. Second, we want to identify a time and a place for a workshop. In our experience, we've found that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are probably optimal nights. Having said that, I'll be doing a kickoff workshop in Avon next Monday, so which any of you are welcome to join. And I can provide details on that, but it's going to be at the Town Hall, Building 1, the Avon Room, starting at 6:30.
Is that the 18th?
The 18th, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And we recognize that one of the things we talked about at the joint meeting was the synergies of having neighboring towns both involved in the campaign, and there are opportunities where we can sort of tag team, doing a workshop in their town, workshop in your town, and kind of splitting things. Or later on, we might be able to do tours of people who have either solar or battery storage systems or both. We did that in several communities, and it was very effective because while people are now getting increasingly familiar with solar because they see it on neighbors' roofs or they might have it themselves, batteries are still a little bit of a mystery for, home purposes. So it's really impactful for people to be able to see what they look like. And they don't really look like much, from a picture. That's why when we created the logo for this campaign, we actually reverted to a kind of conventional battery because to us that's said battery more than kind of a white rectangle that you would see if you were looking at a picture of a battery storage system. But typically, the largest I've seen is about the height and width of a refrigerator, but much shallower. And others are as small as, say, a suitcase. So they vary, and they have different sizes and different ratings for their capacity, what they can store. But what's exciting about batteries is not the fact that they're super expensive. That's not exciting, but there are 3 different generous incentives available to help lower that cost. The first, if people join the Energy Storage Solutions program, which is pretty much a statewide program that's run by Eversource, UI, and the Green Bank, they will be eligible to receive an upfront incentive, which is just taken off the initial cost of the system. And this year, that incentive was increased up to a maximum of $16,000, which gives you an idea of what the base price of a battery could be. Typically, they run from, say, 15,000 up to maybe 35,000, and a lot depends on what in your house you want to power with the battery if the grid goes down. So that is the first incentive, and there are actually higher incentives available for low-income customers, and equity has been a huge priority both for PURA, the state's regulatory authority, and the program administrators. They really want this to be like solar for all. They want battery storage to be for all, so they've adopted some really generous incentives for low-income customers, and also for people who live in those areas that are either prone to the most blackouts or the longest period of blackouts. They've designated those areas as grid edge, and if you happen to live in a circuit that's in the grid edge, you get a 50% boost on the incentive. So 150% of what the normal incentive is if you're on the grid edge. So that's just the first incentive. The second is a 30% federal tax credit under the IRA, and that matches the 30% credit for solar. So that really helps to lower the cost. And finally, there's a performance-based incentive, which the people who do enroll in the Energy Storage Solutions program are agreeing to sell some of the power that they store in their systems back to the grid. So the grid doesn't have to go out and purchase additional power from the so-called peaker plants at the greatest times of need, those 10 or now more than 10 hottest days of the summer and some of the coldest days of the winter, when power is not only the most expensive, but it's also the dirtiest. So this is also a way of cleaning up the grid by using clean power generated from solar and sold back to the grid by the battery system owners. So those are the 3 incentives that really help lower the cost. And the design or the intent of the incentives is to make these backup generators comparable price-wise to conventional gas or diesel powered generators. So it's a little bit different from solar in that you're not going to get a relatively quick payback, but it's going to lower the cost to make it essentially comparable to the kinds of generators that people are currently using in the state, except in this case, they're cleaner and quieter and arguably more reliable. So yeah, we'll be looking to find a place. It could be town hall or a community center or a school. Hard to predict how many people will turn out. I think you know your community better than I do. So, you know, if we had 50 people, which I think Mansfield did, that was a huge crowd. We've had some crowds in the single digits. So it's hard to predict. We don't, we also want to try to avoid if there's something major going on, like a big basketball game or a big school event, or holidays, obviously. We want to try to steer clear of those. And typically these will take about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how many questions we get. But that's just like the first event. And we would also like to invite typically a chief elected official from the town. If they're not available, it could be a representative of this committee or something comparable, but it just kind of provides a welcome and a connection to the attendees that their town is sponsoring this and they think it's worth their while. So we will welcome them to make a few introductory remarks, but no more than 5 minutes or so. And the presentation, will roughly be about 25 minutes, and then Q&A after that. And then the other thing that I want to discuss, it doesn't have to be tonight, but we want to, learn about your communications channels, just as we did in Solarize, because there are a lot of similarities from town to town, but each town has some unique aspects, and you'll be able to help us to figure out how we can strategically get the word out. Whether it's through town newsletters or libraries also have newsletters, other mailings that we can avail ourselves of, and other events too. It's important to know, are there events that people in the town are going to turn out to, and would there be an opportunity or a logical nexus for us to try to have some participation in that, whether just to hand out materials or answer questions. And sometimes it's not. When we were working with Manchester, they were very excited about doing something for Juneteenth, and we realized that that really wasn't the primary focus of that event, and we didn't need to be at that event. But if you guys think that there are some events worthwhile, we should talk about that and try to do those in addition to the educational workshops. So those are kind of the main topics I wanted to cover tonight, but I'll certainly open up the floor for any questions anyone might have.
I've got a general regarding the communication channels. We have our town website, which residents can subscribe to. We could release it in that regard. I did make a note that when we had done something similar to this 10 years ago, I don't know if it was your same campaign, we had sent out mailings to all the residents, and there's a little bit of controversy when people saw what they claimed to be like sort of sales marketing, or at least that's how they viewed it coming in the mail. So we should be a little bit cautious about how we go about presenting this to residents, make sure it's presented in the right way.
Yeah, that probably would have been a Solarize mailing, and it probably would have been funded, at least in part, by a solar installer. So there was definitely a stronger sales motivation in that. And we're certainly not opposed to people adopting solar or battery storage, but we have a much lighter touch. And really the emphasis here is more on education. We're trying to explain what do these systems do, why you might be interested, and what facts you should be considering if you are interested. What makes a site good for solar? I mean, pretty much every site would be good for batteries, but if you want to pair it with solar, which is the logical partnering, you want to make sure you have a good site for solar. And sadly, even though, as Mark can attest, I've been doing this forever, I live in a house that's facing the wrong direction and surrounded by tall trees. So I'm going to be the last guy in Fairfield to get solar unless we move. But yeah, there will not be any hard sales or pressures, in anything we do, whether it's a mailing or posting information on the website or at the events.
Okay, and to that point, for the workshop, you mentioned probably you said 50 people was a good turnout.
That would be an excellent turnout, in my opinion.
Gotcha. So it might be worth seeing what since Avon's a similar community to ours, seeing what kind of turnout they get in a week or two, and then maybe scheduling our room based on that.
Sure.
Because we have a bunch of different size rooms. Even at the library, we have a lot of really nice conference rooms. We could work something.
And I should add that Avon, like many of our other towns, have offered kind of a hybrid format. So it's both live and virtual. If you have that capacity, it's not critical, but many of the towns have adopted that since the age of COVID, and it's been helpful for people who have to feed the kids or they've had a long day, and it's easier just to tune in at home. I should also add that usually we will offer a workshop hosted by the Green Bank, which is one of the co-administrators of the battery program. And although they're currently not the administrator of the solar program, they're the ones that kind of got it off the ground originally before it transitioned over to the utilities. But they've done a great job, offering virtual workshops.
Those are some good questions, Danny. And I wanted to just mention, so there's this memorandum of understanding that you gave us, Bob, that we need the town to sign.
That sounds scary, but it basically is just we're committing to the campaign, and it also spells out what Smart Power offers to the town and the limited things that we ask of the town.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that there is no cost to the town, so that's one of the most important things from the town's perspective.
So we have a meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting tomorrow with town manager Mark Nelson, Wendy Maxtutis. I believe Tom Roy is also going to be there, and Kevin Beal are the liaison. I'm not sure if you're going to be there, Danny, but the intent is to go through this MOU. And I think one of the important differences from Solarize was we selected one solar installer, right? There was a pretty rigorous process. I think, Bob, at the time, were you still at the Green Bank?
Yeah, I was at I think I was at the Green Bank. I can't remember. We did so many campaigns, but
yeah, we were 2014. I think that's where
yeah, definitely.
And the Green Bank had vetted installers, and then the town had a kind of a due diligence process. But yeah, in the end, we selected one installer. So I think partly what towns are afraid of is a situation like that where we select one installer, they do a bad job, and then the town gets criticized. But in this case, we're not actually selecting a single installer. And in fact, for all of the battery suppliers, contractors, they have to be on the list, right? Or at least to get the energy storage solutions incentives, right? They have, so that work is really out of
range. Those installers have already been vetted by the Green Bank, and they comprise kind of the best and the brightest in that industry. And also, to enroll in that program, you have to use one of the authorized equipment for that. And the good news is that since the program began, the Tesla Powerwalls have been added to that list. They were not originally on it, but they're still not a full-fledged member because they haven't done everything that's been asked of the contractors, but they're eligible to get the performance incentive, but not the upfront incentive.
Okay.
And that could change. They might, fully come on board. But that's obviously the best known battery. If you polled 100 people, you'd probably get, 90% of them would say Tesla Powerwalls.
So it's a 20-week program, and you mentioned, a workshop. Are there typically a series of events? You mentioned maybe a kind of a demonstration. Are there other things towns are doing over that 20-week period?
Well, we definitely, there's a kickoff workshop, and sometimes we've done a second workshop, either live or virtual. We also have done the virtual workshops led by the Green Bank. To the extent we've been able to identify homes that have solar and batteries and are willing to do a tour, we have done that, and those are very popular. When I say a home tour, it's really more of like a garage tour, because that's typically where people install their batteries. But some of you probably know Lynn Stoddard, and she and her husband have a battery system in their basement. So they kindly allowed us down in the basement of Mansfield, but most of the times it's going to be in a garage.
Right.
And, we haven't done it yet, but I was thinking it might be valuable to just invite multiple installers, and I would work with you, A, if you think that's a good idea to begin with, and then B, allow you guys to select, whoever you might want there. But it's a good chance for people to ask questions directly to the installers, because there are a lot of technical questions and things that could be demystified by having, experts there. I've picked up a lot along the way, but I don't hold myself out as the world's foremost expert on batteries. So it's good to have some people in the business there that they can answer those tough questions.
Yeah. Any other questions, folks? Joe, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just have one question for like a residential installation. Does the installer work with the homeowner and say, when you're in battery backup mode, like what do you want to engineer to, like, what do you want to power in your house?
Yeah, that's really one of the basic questions, because there are a lot of variables that go into the decision of whether to get a battery, and if so, like what capacity you might need. So they will ask the customer what things they want to be able to power as their critical load if the grid went down. So typically that would include the lights, the refrigerator, outlets to charge your devices. If there's a pump for the water, that would be important. If you have a medical device, that could be important. And each home is unique. There might be certain things that somebody wants to keep on, and they would figure out the size system that could satisfy that load, and they actually create sort of a separate panel. So if the grid goes down, those critical items are all only on that specific panel, which would be installed probably next to the basic panel. And then other things would not run off the battery. So typically things like a clothes dryer uses so much energy, it's not practical or cost effective to include that, but somebody might want that, and every house is different, but the contractor would absolutely work with the person and provide the suggestions as to what size makes sense for them, and then also walk them through the economics of that particular model, or maybe it's 2 batteries depending on their needs.
So it sounds like a similar experience to when you get a traditional generator installed and they install a transfer switch. It sounds similar.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark, I would
If
ask,
folks have questions, we do have a technical consultant, and we could also refer people to the program administrators, whether at the utility or the Green Bank, and they can also answer questions, or if they're hearing different things from 2 different contractors, they can also help clear up some of that mystery.
Mark, I want to ask also, I know that Simsbury and Avon started this process at the same time, but Avon got its MOU a couple months ago. Is there anything else we can do to help kind of facilitate this process or push it along so that we can catch up with our neighbors.
Right. We don't want Avon beating us.
That's right.
Not a competition. But,
Here's, I think this meeting tomorrow with the parties that I mentioned before, I think it's going to go very well. I think once everybody understands what it is they're signing and how little commitment and little is being asked of the town. So I think, to your question, Baird, let's go ahead and start planning. I mean, let's make believe we have, let's make believe we have the approval. We are, so let's talk a little bit about and just about sort of what events we might want to plan or what things we can already set in motion. And I would suggest we focus on the program room, the Friends of the Library room at the library, right? That can handle I forget how many, but that can handle more than we're going to get 100 or so. It's got presentation, it's got screen and everything, it's got cameras. I think we could do a hybrid option there pretty easily. Danny's nodding, yep. And we've got a very good relationship with the library. And Baird, let's activate all of our green coalition partners to cross advertise and engage their folks. So I would love to think we can get a good crowd. Bob, we have not demonstrated an ability when we're just on our own to draw people out to come learn about efficiency or heat pumps, but I think we've since gotten much better connected with other sustainability groups in the town. So we can work with you, or we can do everything within our power to get the word out on this. But when's
we would also do, excuse me, we would also draft a press release for your approval, which Avon just released one this week. And they put it out on the town letterhead. We're very flexible on what you want to include, but one of the things we like to put in there is accomplishments of the Sustainability Committee over the years, whether it's Solarize or Sustainable CT or a Heat Smart program. It just reminds people that this is the latest and greatest thing that we're offering.
Right. That's great. So realistically, let's say we got going on that press release right away. It's got to probably go through some review within town. We're not gonna, so it's gonna take a week probably or two. So we're into mid-November. It's probably not realistic for us to try to do anything till after the holidays. What do you think?
Well, I would say that if we move swiftly, we probably could do something in December, but a lot depends on the availability of the rooms. Oftentimes, library rooms and others are booked in advance. So if it happens to fall to after the holidays, so be it. We need to get moving because the grant period is what it is, and so we need to finish our campaign work so the academics can review it and write it up for the final grant reports.
Yeah,
sometime next year. I'm not sure officially when that is, but we'll just try to do it as soon as possible. But you'll be the judge of when that most effective time will be.
Yeah.
Just having a graphic that we could easily put on all those Facebook pages we usually use would be helpful, because putting the press release is not very eye-catching. So I don't know if that's possible, if we would design that, or
yeah, we can do social media pieces. We typically do flyers for the event. We have a logo for the campaign, so we can come up with multiple options that would be much more eye-catching than a press release. But
yeah, that's
some people still do read the weekly local papers. And
yeah, but we have the Valley News and the library newsletter, though they like a little catchy thing to put too.
So, and if you know anyone that already has solar and storage, it would be good to talk to them because sometimes they could feature in a story and bring it to life, you know, add some pictures, things like that. And also potentially, you know, be one of the tour sites if they're willing.
Yeah, when the Solar Ash campaign took place, I saw the video of Tom Roy, I think was emceeing the event, but the first person who spoke gave a really powerful testimonial and economic, he was a finance guy, about, you know, basically you're dumb if you don't have solar on your house because the finances just make sense. And he made a really compelling economic argument for putting solar on your house. And it'd be nice to find someone who can do a compelling testimony. I have
Yep.
solar but no battery, so I can't do it.
That was Brad Mead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good.
And well, maybe he's got a battery. What do folks feel like? I just feel like for us to get all this publicity out and the press release and then get it in papers and social media posts, December's probably too aggressive with people getting busy for the holiday. What do you think? Should we try and
Well, I think we might need to get some, you know, maybe we would want to time it, you know, appropriately for the event, but sometimes, you know, we have to give it some lead time. So if we were doing a January event, we might want to put something out in December and then
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
reminder and other channels, social media after that.
do folks agree with that? Maybe plan a January event?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, okay. So let's, so we've got a to-do list, a picture, we can talk about that. Any thoughts on what image we would use for Simsbury?
I mean, I would, for Simsbury,
Yeah,
Talcott Mountain,
Yeah, the Hugh Blind,
Hugh
maybe
Blind.
Flower Bridge. It would be the old, but the Flower Bridge,
Pinchot Sycamore.
Pinchot Sycamore. If there's a good picture, that's kind of hard to take pictures of.
That's the one I was thinking of. I could never remember which town actually had the sycamore.
Yeah,
There
give her
might be-
Pinchot.
There might even be kind of a graphic because you just recognize the tree of that somewhere. I don't know.
Danny, does anybody in the town, you know, have sort of stock photos of the town that they are sort of approved for, you know, copyright free and high resolution?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I'm sure the town manager's office, Mark Nelson, and his crew might have something.
All right, I'll try to remember to ask that tomorrow too. But
And there is a basic pixel requirement, which I think is fairly standard, but I'll send that just in case. Occasionally we get photos that don't comply with those numbers.
There's also the town seal.
yeah. Yeah.
We often include the seal on the event flyers, but for the website, we look for a photo.
Do folks agree about using the Friends of Simsbury Public Library room at the library?
If we can get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Try to book that pretty soon.
So yeah, so let's maybe we can somebody would want to take some of this on, but let's check the library for what was it, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays in sort of mid-January?
Yeah,
I can check on that tomorrow.
but Monday in a pinch, I would avoid Fridays. Nobody,
Okay.
I think people have other plans.
We had our sustainability fair at the public library in May of this year, and we have they're really supportive of all these types of things. So so it'll be good to work with them on this. The time and the place will work on communication channels. We can maybe send you a list of ways we intend to publicize the event. Bob, you said you'd want to sort of know more about communication channels, and
Yeah,
you
that
may
would
have
be helpful.
resources or other ideas.
Yeah, and I'll get to work on a draft press release, and yeah, obviously take care of the MOU when we can do that. But I'll keep things rolling on my end, and we can plan to circle back. It doesn't have to be with the whole group. In fact, usually we just do it with one or two or three folks from a town, so as not to gum up your regular agendas.
Right.
Can I say, Jamie, are there other kind of, I don't know, you're so good at like social media blitzes. Are there ways of kind of drumming up interest in before January, of getting it out there on Facebook pages and Instagram and all those places that I never go?
Yeah, don't don't pick this week to change that. I think there are understanding that what we own, like what the Simsbury Sustainability Committee owns as its social footprint, is the Facebook page, which is truly operated by Public Works. Then we would be reliant on our partners to do some of this work. And so I love the idea of, if any of our friends from, and especially the library, or our partner organizations, feel like they get good engagement for publicizing events in a specific channel. It might be Instagram, it might be Facebook, it might be, I don't think any of our friends are using TikTok or something, but wherever they find traction with their audience, asking them, can they do, depending on how far out into January it is, maybe, a post announcing that it's coming, that's maybe 3 to 4 weeks in advance, or about 4 weeks in advance, and then 2 to 3 weeks out, and then maybe 72 hours out, right? Like the reminder. So preceding it, reminding folks. You can also, we can, of course, put it on our page and on our Green Coalition Facebook page, and create it as an event on the page, which then, and if all of us kind of go in and we say, we're going to attend this event, it'll send notes to your friends that, oh, your friend is attending this event in your area, and would potentially suggest it. So things that get the algorithm going like that. We could also put a few $100s behind, if this is something that, and maybe not this moment, this time, this event, but to your point, how do you do this? You boost it with a very small amount of money, to make sure that it's popping up in people's feeds, instead of just relying on the algorithm and shares to do the work for you.
Danny, when the Sustainability Committee wants to change or put something on the Facebook page, does that go through you right now?
Yeah, it goes through me and Carrie, who's
Okay.
the admin over there. Yep.
All right. So let's stay in touch on this one, because I think what we want to do, there are certain procedures that we have to follow as a town committee, through getting things posted. But once that thing is posted or public, or if there's a flyer, we also, as Jamie was saying, we want to avail ourselves of the publicity power of partners. The pollinators are the great example, right? They bring in 100 people to for these events, and the bike pedestrian, and there's all kinds of partner organizations. So, and I think they can do that as long as they're using materials that we've essentially already made public or posted. So let's just make sure we're navigating that properly. Good.
I put my contact info in the chat. Obviously, Mark, you have it, but if anyone else needs to get in touch, ask any questions, feel free to email or call me.
Bob, thank you so much for again for taking time tonight. We're really excited about doing this. We did Solarize 10 years ago. We really haven't done a serious campaign, since then. So
well, let's get serious.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Nice to meet or see you again, whatever the case may be. So I'll be in touch soon. Take care.
Bob. All right. Terrific. So I will try to get the MOU done tomorrow. Baird, you're going to check into dates in January at the library. and then we'll let Bob know they're gonna do a flyer and stuff and some social media material, and then we'll stay aligned on how we're gonna get that word out. And I mean, any other thought? I mean, does anybody know anyone who has a battery? Yeah, so that might be tough.
Can I just ask while we're on planning? So looking at the library calendar, January 7, 14, and 16 are all open. Do people have a preference in terms of when in January we do this?
Sorry, can you throw those dates out again, Baird?
The 7th of January, the 14th, and the 16th are all open at this point.
So the first meeting for you guys in January is on the 9th. So it might be strategic to do it after the 9th.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit more after the holidays.
So Susan, what do you think? What's your preference? Or should we go to the week after that?
Well, I think the 14th or 16th sounds good. Are those Tuesday and Thursday?
Yes.
To me, those sound fine. I don't know about.
I got something on the Tuesday. The Thursday, the 16th would be great for me.
Okay. I'll ask about the Thursday then.
That's probably
Thursday evenings in Simsbury. Anything else going on?
I probably wouldn't make it to that. I need to look at the calendar, but I don't know how important it is for me to be there. So
potentially, and that gives us a little time for people to recover from the holidays.
if it's in that room, is there any way to get it recorded?
Yeah.
So that's
if it's going to be broadcast, it's automatically recorded.
But right, I'm just saying, yeah. What do you mean if it's going to be broadcast?
We talked about doing it hybrid, right? Of doing both live and having people being able to see it at home. And so the people who film it are Simsbury community media. And so they automatically record it and then put the content up on their website.
Okay, that would be good for people who can't attend.
Yep, I'm looking at the town calendar right now. It doesn't cover everything, but the 14th has the planning commission and the 16th shows no meetings that night.
Great.
All right. Baird, you're going to talk to the library. I'm not sure who should reach out or coordinate with the SCTV on that. But it'd be nice to A, to record it, and B, to have people be able to at least watch it. I don't know if it's, I mean, unless we're doing a Zoom thing, they may not be able to. I mean, it's not a true hybrid in the sense that they can speak.
Yeah, the library will take care of that.
The library, okay, good. So if anybody can, ask around, or I know some people have solar, but it'd be interesting to see if we can find anybody who has a battery and could do a tour, maybe, Susan?
Is that a question we could put out, like on that Simsbury Green Coalition Facebook page, or the Simsbury Facebook page? Does anybody have battery storage? The Simsbury, would it be okay to say the Simsbury Sustainability Coalition would like to communicate with you?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Jamie.
Okay.
We need you.
Well, anybody can do that. It doesn't have to be anybody who's a member of any Facebook page that has a lot of people do it.
Did you just volunteer to do that, or?
I'll do it. But I don't know about putting it on those pages. Like, I think like the Simsbury Green Coalition is somebody, I don't think you can just.
I have admin rights on that.
Oh, okay, so you could put it on there. And then there's one page that has like thousands of people on it. I'll put it on there.
And Mark, isn't there an organization called PACE somewhere? I don't know if you know anyone there, but don't they track things like who has solar panels and who has batteries and things like that?
We do know who has solar, and I was going to ask Bob. Did these batteries need an interconnection, right? So the utility knows, I think.
Well, that might be.
I don't know it is public. What was I just going to say? The Solarize had the term ambassadors, right? If you already had solar, you were an ambassador. So we're looking for battery storage ambassadors. Great. All right, any other questions or on the Power Smart? It's confusing. Power Smart being run by Smart Power. Smart Power is the nonprofit, and Smart Power worked with us in 2014 on our Solarize. They do all these, marketing materials. What they do, marketing, for campaigns for, but good. All right, so we're out of order, but let us go back to our. I think we need to approve our minutes from the for October meeting, which Danny did, and we sent around. Were there any discussion of the prior minutes, October minutes? Not, is there a motion to approve the October
I
minutes?
move to approve the October minutes.
Second.
You got heard a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Great. What's next? Ex officio. Oh no, meeting dates. So one of the things we have to do, and we sent this around, but let me go ahead and pull it up on the screen, is we need to approve our meeting dates for the coming year. So while I'm pulling this up, the question, the simple question is, is there any reason to change from first Thursday at 6:30? If there's none, then here they are. If that continues to work for folks. We moved a couple for holidays, and they're noted down there, like 4th of July. We're not going to meet the 3rd, and Yom Kippur. So is there a motion to approve these meeting dates?
Motion to approve them.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? By the way, the agenda has a link to this shared calendar, which I don't know if anybody's using that, but if you need help with it, let me know. What it is, it's a way, I create a calendar. It's a Google Calendar that puts in all these dates, and it gives that calendar a name, Sustainability Committee. And then you share it, and I've got it, so I could, on my phone, I can turn that one on and off. But if I want to see all the Sustainability Committee dates, they're there on all my devices. And if I then go make a change, then it comes through on all your devices. So feel free to use that. And if you need help, let me know. All right, reports from ex officio boards. Joe.
Nothing for the recycling committee really to report. The swap shops closed for the season. But I did have one question about remember Clink, bottle and can recycler. I see on the town of Simsbury website for the Office of Community Planning and Development, it looks like they approved that installation at Stop and Shop.
Great.
And now, if I can read this, I'm just reading this right here. It looks like it's moved to the design review board.
Okay. Good for you to follow this. It's great.
Yeah, I didn't go to that meeting, and I wasn't sure really what happened with it.
Yeah, you all got to tour that recycling facility that day. We had to sit around and talk about bottles and cans. No, Jen and I were there, and I haven't heard any update from them. But yeah, it's a very interesting business. They're working with Stop and Shop throughout the state, and they're going to have this facility, this little structure, a little building I think in the parking lot somewhere there at Stop and Shop. And instead of
Yeah.
going and sticking your cans and bottles in one at a time, put them all in a bag, you scan the bag, and then it gets credited to your account. And
We should do some,
where they've done it, it significantly increases recycling rates.
yeah, we should do some publicity for them once they're up
Yeah.
and running.
So it's moving along, Joe. It's great.
Yeah,
Mark, can I jump the agenda a little bit? I need to leave in just
Yep.
3 or 4 minutes to
Yep.
talk about the newsletter.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just super quick report. So our last newsletter went out. Hopefully everyone got it. If you didn't, let me know. And articles written by Susan Massino on wildlands and on dark skies. She wrote more articles, which we have saved for some future issue. But for the December issue, we're thinking of publishing the sustainability plan with a forward by Mark Scully, and basically that, and hopefully that we can announce the Power Smart campaign, and that's going to be the whole December issue, is getting those 2 things in there. So my hope is that we've met with the Board of Selectmen. Mark, have you met with the Board of Ed yet on the sustainability plan?
It's on November 12th, 6:30.
Yeah, and hopefully we can announce that we've met with several of the boards and that there's a process underway.
Yep.
So that's what we're thinking for this issue and next issue.
That's great. Thank you, Baird. That's actually where we were next. I think there's no other. We don't have Holly. We don't have Lydia tonight. So the next thing was the newsletter we just covered. Let's skip waste for a second. I don't know if you have to leave right this minute, Baird.
Oh, sorry. Can I just ask one other question? And this
Yeah.
goes to Danny. I gave about 100 names and email addresses to Tom to include on our newsletter mailing list. Do you know if those got uploaded and included already?
I don't, but I'll make a note of it to touch base with them.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you have to leave right this minute, Baird. What I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's do a quick waste update, but before that, so the sustainability plan, we presented it to the Board of Selectmen. We've been invited to present it to the Board of Ed on the 12th at 6:30. Feel free to come or watch. I think those are kind of the 2, I think, big ones where when we talk about the plan and talk about actions that we're going to take, we need them to say, yes, we're going to do that, right? And that'll mean probably taking some things out that are not going to be realistic, but we want to get a plan that everybody agrees we're going to do. That's the idea. So those are the 2 big ones. So so I'll be presenting to the Board of Ed. And then I think we have to follow up and say, okay, here's our plan. Here's our gambit. What do you think we can do? Maybe we may have maybe 2 time frames, right? Maybe within the next, couple of years, or in 5 years or 10 years. So, but we need some, real conversations about what we're gonna get done. We want to get to the finance board as well, just to sort of let them know this is going on. I think we want to maybe have a public hearing where we invite the public to come hear about the new Simsbury sustainability plan. I see some nodding heads. Yeah. So that one, I wonder how quickly we could get that one going. And what groups in town we would want to include on that. I mean, I'm afraid if we just sort of do something at the library, we're not going to get that many people to come. But if we did it maybe together with Public Works and the Board of Ed, I don't know if we maybe turned it into a panel or something. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but I think
it would be more work. Picking up your out loud brainstorming here, it would be more work on some of our members' plates, but if like, you know, Lydia, for example, could speak to the elements of our plan that relate to the Board of Ed and, you know, et cetera, and then people could it could be interactive, it could, a panel could be very useful, I think, and just show the engagement and the breadth of the town's services that really do touch on sustainability every day, whether we think about it or not.
Any other thoughts on that? I can pick that up with Tom tomorrow. Ideally, maybe Tom and somebody from Board of Ed. Although, as you say, Lydia, I mean, Lydia could cover that, but maybe even someone from planning, and somebody from Public Works. So, all right, well, I will. I mean, it sounds like there's general support for that idea. I'll keep you posted. I'm going to reach out to Lisa Hebner and Finance Board, and we'll just do another short presentation to keep them. And I don't know how much of this we'll do tomorrow, probably not much, but I will suggest that we sit down with Mark Nelson and show him the plan, right? So I think let's try to, you know, the Board of Ed's the big one next week, and then maybe over the next, let's be realistic, 3 months, we really try and check off some key stakeholders here, and including a public hearing for the sustainability plan, because I think that'll just sort of raise its awareness, its profile, right, and makes it harder to ignore.
Is it on our website? Like, you know, over on the left-hand side?
That's a really good question. I doubt it is. That's a really good question. I just put a link in the chat, by the way, to the newsletters. It's not, is it? I don't see it.
I mean, yeah, so.
Danny, is that something, if we get it to you, you can get put onto the, you know, on the website here?
Yeah, that's something that Carrie would post on our behalf, but yep, we could work on getting that up.
It's along these things. Good. Okay, so I'll send that to you. I don't know that you've seen that yet. That's a great suggestion. Thank you, Susan. Okay, anything else on the sustainability plan? We skipped waste update. Jen, we had your suggestion early on about the Carton Council. Anything else going on right now with waste? Well, we'll talk about it in the plan next week. So we'll try to keep things going. And I know Lydia's. Oh, I think one quick update. Yeah, I did. And so I did have a meeting with Matt Curtis, Neil Sullivan, and who else was there? Lydia was there. And that's when they said, yeah, we'd like you to come present to the Board of Ed, which was a good thing. And then we talked about having Bonnie Anderson, who is nutrition or food service director or something for the district. So they would prefer to have a smaller meeting with Lydia, and I forget, maybe me, there was somebody else. So that, I don't know if that took, I mean, Lydia's not here. I don't think that took place. But just know that's happening. So, you know, I think particularly following on the conversation at the Board of Ed, hopefully we can start to be in a little more of a dialogue with the Board of Ed, you know, about, you know, that there's more awareness at that level of some of the things you've already done, some of the things we'd like to be doing, some of the things there may be funding out there for. So anyway, I'm rambling. Late. I
I
think
don't
that's
know
it.
if now's, I mean, I'm a member of the public. That's why I spoke earlier. I don't know if you want me to speak now, but I'll just say
Oh,
that
go
things
ahead.
have kind of stalled at Squadron. We lost our liaison and to the administration. And I just think that they're really distracted with running a school. So I'm looking forward to the meeting with Bonnie. That to me, though, seems obviously very food food waste related. But and I know that there are other opportunities at the school that we can you know uh, take advantage of,
Yeah.
which we haven't been able to.
Jen, feel free to reach out to Lydia on that. I can say that I'll do it, but I may forget it. But just she may be able to keep that moving, that meeting with Bonnie. Good. I think that's it on our agenda. And then I think it was in the minutes from last month, but November 13th, there is that meeting, the Sustainable CT Award celebration. So I think I'm going. If anybody else is going or interested in going, where is it? Old Saybrook, I think. Yeah, Saybrook. Old Saybrook. Let me know. We could carpool. It's it can be an inspiring event to hear of all the things that towns are doing with Sustainable CT and just stay aware of what that organization is doing. So, okay, anything else? Oh, I will tell you one more thing. Sorry, you're not getting rid of me so easily tonight. I did attend a couple weeks ago in Ridgefield, Connecticut, a ribbon cutting for their solar canopy. I'll even show you a few pictures. It was really inspiring. They have solar on, I think, most of their schools. And this was a ribbon cutting for, all right, I found the folder. Let me share this. A really, really awesome solar canopy. This is at their high school parking lot. Can you all see that?
Yeah, that's really cool. That's huge.
It's like a megawatt. It's like nine. It's like yeah, it is. It's and they're bifacial, so you can see through them. And there's their composting stuff that they're doing. They actually, we talked about this. I may have reported on this, did I? Because we talked about this, right? We talked about what they're doing for recycling. Anyway, we had a meeting with the guy who was instrumental in getting that solar canopy built. So you can get them done, right? You can get big solar. They've got solar in pretty much every school. So it's cool to see. They also had an electric school bus there, which was cool. So, all right. Any other business? All right. Well, thank you all. And keep your spirits. Keep busy. We've got lots of work to do.
We do indeed.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
All right. I'll second it. All those in favor, click leave.
All right.
Good
See you,
night.
folks. Take care.
Take care, everybody.